Miss World and Mr. Marley. Hello, I'm Anthony Miller. The movie barely touched on it, but Cindy and Bob an item back in the day. Whilst paying tribute last week to the late Alan Skill Cole and turning back the clock to the 70s, Cindy Breakspeare also weighed in on why she believes Bob Marley One Love was a missed opportunity.
You know, downtown came uptown, and it came right onto Hope Road, not far from Jamaica House.
Met Bob, then won Miss World.
And Miss World 1976 is Miss Jamaica.
Her face looming large in the Jamaica of the 1970s, itself a decade of transformational change, politically, but also old barriers beginning to crumble, and Jamaica moving to a reggae beat. Cindy Breakspeare a fan, the pale-skinned, green-eyed beauty who won the heart of the first Rasta icon. His story most recently told on film in Bob Marley One Love. The family-approved biopic, however, with little love for Breakspeare's place in the Marley legend, much less her place in the superstar's heart.
It was tough, but one of my favorite mantras to live by in life is that your principles only mean something, Anthony, if you stand by them when it's not convenient. And I could not have anybody trample all over me and just go on as if it was okay.
So Cindy did as she had always done on Bob's birthday, post a heartfelt tribute on social media.
Always. I mean, Bob's legacy has been part of the fabric of my life. I don't have fingers, toes, or hairs on my head to count the number of interviews and films that I have been in about Bob and who he was and what he was all about. And I've never, ever, ever, once, ever in all these years solicited any of those journalists or filmmakers. They always found me, sought me out, and insisted that they wanted to speak with me. So I know it's not my imagination that I had a valid role to play.
But she faced a firestorm of criticism, Cindy castigated in comments precisely over that role, and with the movie still fresh in cinema-goers' minds.
Yeah, sometimes you have to just put up with the flack, you know.
The racial component was noticeable.
There was that too, and Bob did have a wife, and being a wife is also a very important thing to a particular segment of our society. Not only that, I think you have to remember that people don't know who many of the other mothers of the outside children are. The fact that Bob had 11 children with 7 different women. So there's me and there's Rita. Tell me who the others are. Tell me who the others are. Do they have a public profile? So it's easy to zero in on me.
In the context of the marriage, did you succumb to guilt at any point?
No. I did not pursue Bob Marley. He pursued me. And he always maintained, and you can hear him say it clearly in the Kevin MacDonald documentary, that he was not married.
I understand you're married. Are you married?
No. You see, I can't deal with the Western ways of life.
I did come to know that he was in fact legally married. I think it was his mom that probably told me. But by then there was Damien. There was no turning back. I couldn't send him back. So what you going to do? Maybe I was just more comfortable ignoring the truth, deluding myself. You know how it is. Sometimes we ignore what we don't want to face, what we don't want to deal with. Look, man, that was nearly 50 years ago. You know, it's ancient history now. In my world, I don't want anybody trying to change history. It was what it was. And I not only went through a lot of flack last year, I went through a lot of flack at the time because I wasn't supposed to be involved with no Rasta man.
She didn't know.
You're crossing that invisible line in the sand. Nobody was comfortable with it. I mean, I had a friend whose parents sat her down and told her categorically, you see what Cindy Breakspeare has done? Don't even think about it. The rest of the world, I don't think they were horrified. If your hair was a rock star and a beauty queen, what? What else is new? His magnetism, his character was so larger than life. There was no escape, Anthony. There just was no escape. And when I look at the artist that my son has become today, I wouldn't change anything. We didn't know then, those of us who were close to Bob, just how iconic he would become. We knew we were in the middle of something really extraordinary happening. And not being a part of it, having had that entree, would not have been an option. Is it a cocktail party you're going tonight, or are we going to be at Hope Road for rehearsal? Scale? No. The scale was like that, because rehearsal is where we're going to be, because we knew that we were in the middle of something that we probably wouldn't see again in our lifetime, and we won't. We were besotted, all of us. We were absolutely besotted. And maybe that was accentuated by the taboos surrounding it. Here we were, these naughty little uptown girls, myself and my friends, fraternizing with all these Rastafarians and hanging out on the front lawn at 56 Hope Road while football was being played, etc., etc., etc. You just have to look at the pictures of him in his football shorts in full flight, locks flying behind him, and he soaked up life in such a deep, wide, such an expansive way that we were all inspired by it.
Which brings us to the movie.
I think I ended up being a nameless, voiceless ghost.
Bob's real-life story, the stuff of a director's dream, but for Cindy, a missed opportunity.
I'm not sure that Bob's single-mindedness of purpose and his edginess, that sharp edge that his character had, was really captured. I think that all you really had to do was tell the truth. That's all you really had to do. And you'd have had a great movie. And sadly, it was not critically acclaimed, as everybody knows. Not me say so. It was not critically acclaimed.
Did the movie do a disservice to you?
Yes, I think if I am to be honest, I would say so. I was in a relationship with Bob for 6 years at the end of his life. And, you know, I wasn't the only one, I think, who felt hard done by. There were other people in the story who were cut out at the last minute, Peter Tosh being one of them. I don't think he saw much of Skill, who we just lost. So it kind of was condensed to a particular product. And I think that there were many of us who felt hard done by at the end of it. Many. Whenever music is required, that everybody knows, everybody can relate to, that is inclusive and treats everybody with equity, they always reach for Bob's music.
Singing, don't worry.
So I don't have any problem with making him a hero, but you must always remember that he was a man. He was just a man, a human being like the rest of us. And we all have our idiosyncrasies, faults, failings, shortcomings, whatever you want to call them, you know. There is no perfect person walking this earth, and there never was. So a lot of the story was missing. A lot of it was missing. And I've heard other people who've been asked to comment and say it clearly. So what do you think was missing? One person said, Bob. They have a thing called creative license. And in stories like this, when people decide what they want the whole to become, very often a lot of things fall by the wayside. But I can only express what was my personal disappointment. I think I was seen maybe a grand total of 3 times, standing in a doorway, sitting on a sofa in the back of the studio, and in a photograph which was actually fictitious because I was wearing a swimsuit with a sash over it, saying Miss World or something, and Bob was standing beside me. No such picture was ever taken. So that was manufactured for the purpose. So perhaps they felt that of all the women who had children with Bob, outside children, I actually should probably be grateful that I actually got a look in any at all. But the representation was nothing compared to the actual relationship that we shared.
There have also been 2 marriages, another son, a daughter, and now several grandkids. At 71, Cindy Breakspeare happy to recount the past, but not dwelling on it.
Yeah, it's been a great ride, great ride. As a young woman, I never had very long-term goals. Like I wasn't gonna put in 8 years of university to become a doctor, for example. I was a young woman who was always looking for an opportunity, and whatever door opened, I would walk through it. I've always been somebody who seizes the day. I'm not interested in looking so far down the road.
Has Leah sort of followed in your footsteps? In terms of that way? Engagement with the kinds of examples of Jamaica that we're not supposed to engage with?
It has been said. People have said, well, what do you expect? You don't see what our mother did. It has been said. She's very much her own person. And yeah, I guess she'll tell you she got that from me. So I'll own it. That's fine. That's my handbag.
Is there discomfort there?
Right now, no. I mean, things will always happen in life, Anthony, that are going to rock your world for a while, going to rattle your cage. And that goes for all of us. I don't think there's any getting away from that. It's going to happen to everybody at one time or another. But you learn how to cope. You learn, you learn how to adjust. So it's just all part of the process. I feel now, I mean, when you're 25 years old, when you're 30 years old, you think life is forever. When you get to my age and stage, you realize that life is so short. If you could go back and do it all again, 3 times, you would. So you gotta make the most of it.
And she has. Oh, and watch out for the book.
I've been as frank as I could live with, I think. So let's see where it ends up.